Ms. Chambers, can y'all hear me?
I can.
Okay, thank you, Matthew.
Sure.
And then my daughter, of course, worked until the last minute to let me know. Mom, our second money, our second money is today.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
We have the regular meeting, Commissioners Court, Liberty County, Texas, May 11th, 2021. It's about 9:05. And this for the court. Commissioner Arthur is present. Commissioner Whitmire is present on Zoom. Commissioner Wilson's present on Zoom, and also Commissioner Karbowski is present on Zoom. So at least everybody's here today. And if we all would, let's rise. Lee, if you would lead us in our pledges, and let's go and lead us in our invocation.
Face the American flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please face the Texas flag. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Father, we come to you this morning offering praise and thanksgiving for another day, Lord. We ask that you continue to bless this county. We ask that you continue to bless this court and give it wisdom in all things that it does for the people of this county, Lord. We ask you to continue to bless our first responders and all the folks that work for the service of the people. In Jesus' mighty name, amen.
Amen. Well, we did have a proclamation this morning, and I believe we have some folks representing Elder Abuse Awareness Month. If y'all would, come on up.
But I can't do that. I feel a little to the hand, but
Good morning. Good morning.
Anyway.
Good morning, everybody.
How are you doing?
Well, this is May 21. Tell you what, before we get started, why don't y'all introduce yourselves so everybody that's listening out here on YouTube and everywhere else can know who you are.
Okay. My name is Reginald Smith. I'm the supervisor for Adult Protective Services here in Liberty County.
Okay. I'm Kara Andrews. I've been with the agency for about 8 years, and I work for APS as well.
Chantel Miller with APS, 2 years at the agency.
Tanya Edwards with Adult Protective.
10 years.
We'll call it 10.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all coming.
Yes, sir.
I used to get to visit with Frosty when he was on there years ago. Of course, Frosty and I played football together at Dayton High School, so I'm telling you, hell that. All right. The proclamation reads, whereas May is Elder Abuse Prevention Month in Texas, and the Department of Family and Protective Services, Adult Protective Services Division in Liberty County is raising awareness about abuse, neglect, exploitation of seniors and vulnerable adults. Whereas people who are elderly or have disabilities have contributed to the general welfare of Liberty County by helping to preserve customs, convictions, and traditions of diverse backgrounds. And whereas these residents are vital and integral members of our society, and their wisdom and experience have enriched our lives. Abuse can happen to men and women of all income levels, cultural and ethnic backgrounds. Approximately 1 in 10 Americans, 65, yeah, okay, have experienced some form of abuse. I can attest to that. Whereas last year, APS in Liberty County investigated 310 cases of abuse, neglect, and exploitation of older adults or people with disabilities. Self-neglect was a risk factor in most of the cases. Loneliness and isolation can make seniors more vulnerable to abuse, neglect, and exploitation. And whereas abuse hurts at any age, and all people deserve dignity, respect, and the right to live in a society free from abuse. Now therefore, I, J.H. Knight, Liberty County Judge, Liberty County, Texas, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2021 as Elder Abuse Prevention Month. And we urge, Commissioners Court and myself urge all citizens to work together to reduce abuse, neglect, and exploitation of people who are elderly or have disabilities. And this is for y'all. And if y'all have a minute, can you kind of give us, enlighten us a little bit on what you do? And since everybody's listening, I mean, I'm not sure how many are listening today, but I guarantee we got quite a few.
Okay, so I guess I'll keep it short and sweet. Basically, what we do is we investigate abuse and neglect and exploitation of the elderly and disabled. That's any individual that's over the age of 65 or an individual that's over the age of 18 that has a substantial impairment. Yes, sir.
I know it. So really, what are the steps? If you think someone's being abused, it's an elderly individual. You urge people to call you or call the sheriff's department, call the police department, or?
Well, we have a hotline, the state abuse hotline, that's set up. It's 24 hours, 365 days a year. Anybody can report to that hotline if they feel that there's something going on that's not right. And we'll get someone out to investigate their situation. If the person meets our criteria, we'll make them a client and provide services.
Great. And what's your phone number?
Oh, okay. The number is 1-800-252-5400.
One more time. As Bill Buchanan used to say, one more time.
Okay, 1-800-252-5400.
All right. That's all you have to do is call that number. It'll
That's
go
it.
direct to someone that will listen.
Yes, it'll be filtered down to our office.
Okay.
And
Tell
we'll take care of it.
them about the bins, the fan, for the fans.
Oh.
Some kind of fan drive or something?
No, that's not it.
That's not
So,
you?
okay.
Never mind.
Well, look at that. It's
Y'all want a photo without the mask?
Yeah.
So,
Holding up the proclamation.
Great.
one more.
Thank you.
Thank y'all so
Thank
much.
you.
Have a good day.
Yes, sir. God bless you.
We don't put it there. Do that. It's a lot of docu-signing. Recorders on.
Okay. Is there any public comment today? Anyone? Yeah. I do have one quick public comment. It is our bailiff's birthday from Judge Hinch's court. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you,
I'm not
Judge.
gonna say what number it is, but just in case, I know it's less than 60.
Yeah, by about 12.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Are there any comments or any add-ons?
We don't have any.
None there? Okay, Angela, thank you. Any comments? Any reason to move anything from the consent agenda to the regular agenda? Addition. I'm going to approve.
Motion to approve.
Okay, that was. Bruce made the motion to approve. Greg made the second. I believe that was the second. Yeah. Yep, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Let's see. Regular agenda. Mr. Brown, I see you're here with us today and you have some information to share with us about statute of limitations, strike-off transactions and the totals for Liberty County.
Yes, sir, Judge. Good morning.
Morning.
This is our annual kind of cleaning up the files. Basically, the Texas Tax Code provides that if any delinquent property tax is not held by a judgment or sued, that after 20 years on real property and 10 years on personal property, we have to strike it off. So this is something that we've gotten in the process of doing it every April, rather than just do them as they come up. We kind of take a full purge one time a year. And we basically sent a total strike-off transaction sheet of all the entities that we collect for. And of course, the one we're addressing today is just to inform you that for Liberty County, it affects 6,133 accounts, for one particular year. Because basically, the good news is you're striking off the tax debt that was 20 years old. You replace it with the new tax debt. This for year 21, but you can't keep more than 20 years of outstanding taxes if it's not held by a lawsuit. So theoretically, if your property value is going up, your tax assessment is probably going up. So you're maybe replacing that 20-year-old debt, even though it's added interest and penalties over the years. You may be getting a higher year to replace it. Doesn't always work that way, but for the most part, it would tend to do that. It amounts to 6,133 accounts for a total of 160,000. I can't read my writing here. You got it, 389 and 56 cents. So we will do that under one move. We sent it out to the attorneys to make sure they didn't have something that was in judgment that we're missing. We sent it to all the entities. Again, our program kind of takes it, automates it, where it moves everybody. And then it will make a notation on the file that these were struck off for this year and then replaced with the new year. So I'm recommending to the court, basically it's an information deal. It's something by statute that we're allowed to do. We're just basically reporting it to you and really no action is required because, the statute mandates it. Any questions about it for anyone?
Yes, Mr. Brown. On the strike-offs, do they retain, the person that owns the property, do they retain ownership of this property, or is this property now going into Liberty County so that we can move this property?
We're not doing anything with the property. We're just taking 1 year of taxes that were due 20 years ago. The property still is an active account. It's still, the ownership is based on what, this is against the property, not against particularly the person. It could have changed hands 2 or 3 times, or it may be the same property owner. All we're doing is adjusting the 20-year-old payment and replacing it with the new payment for this year. Because you can't keep more than 20 years of delinquent taxes unless there is a judgment placed by the attorneys. So we're not taking any property. We're just cleaning up the roll to make sure that everything we have under a tax lien can be collected by filing a judgment eventually.
Hey, Ricky.
It never goes, you never strike off a judgment until you actually dispose of it. But these
So our
Hey, Ricky.
attorney, still go back and take this land and give it to somebody that actually wants to pay the taxes on it?
Well, basically, that's the share sale process. And for some reason, these properties may have not been foreclosed on for whatever reason. It could be a deferment, could be something that's outstanding that keeps it from being in good title. Could be something that's not worth the attorneys to go after. Again, we don't have the control over what the attorneys file the suits on. We encourage them to file suits so that the process can get these taxes collected. But all the county is entitled to is 20 years of uncollected taxes under their tax lien. So basically this takes off 1 year and adds another year. So we still have 20 years. It's just a different, we update it.
Thank you,
Mr.
Ms.
Brown,
Yes.
what is your recommendation for the Commissioners Court on this situation?
Basically, there's no action required, Commissioner Wilson. It's for information, just to make you aware of it, put it in the record. But it is by statute that we're required to strike it off because of this. So there's really, of course, my recommendation is to follow the tax code and allow it to happen.
Okay, so you recommend we take no action at this time on this item?
I would like to have action on this simply because it's just more or less a motion to accept the report, so it will be in the court records.
Yes.
So I would appreciate
And
it.
I do recommend that. That's a good point. I think that's what we typically have done is that y'all have approved it. And all I can do is recommend that you do that action because I'm required to meet the requirement of the code. So.
Okay. So
I would recommend that you take action to approve it. I guess I'll restate that.
need a motion to accept the report.
Make the motion till we accept the report of our tax assessor, Mr. Brown.
Got a motion, Leon. Second.
Correct.
Thank you, Greg. He's way over here on the end, but y'all can barely see, but there he is. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you there, Mr. Brown. Appreciate that. How's the Astros doing this year?
They're doing better.
They've been doing better. Okay.
We're not going to give up on them yet.
Not yet. I haven't been following, so I knew it was kind of. Next item on the agenda is Mr. C, purchasing agent for the county. Consider and approve upgrade to Road and Bridge number 2 and JP number 3 internet and phone systems.
All right, Frontier Communications provides phone service for Road and Bridge 2, JP3 out of Hardin. They contacted me about a month ago that I guess our service agreement was close to being up. They have a new one for a 3-year service agreement, less than we're paying now. Had more features, including internet, which I guess the prior one didn't. I passed it on to IT, to Nick, to check out and see if it's worthwhile. He got with Matt at A1 Telecom, and they can tell you more details about it if they choose to.
Morning.
Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Good to see you this morning.
Good to see you.
Come on, go first.
Yes. So Carol's exactly right. So basically what we're planning on doing, and our intent is to consolidate down to one internet carrier for both properties. So both properties are small enough that we can operate both locations off of one phone system, one network, one everything. So, why keep paying for 2 services when we can consolidate to one is the direction we're headed. So we're going to bring everything into Commissioner Arthur's office, and then we're going to shoot a point-to-point antenna over to JP3's office. So everything will be wirelessly fed over to his office. And of course, everything in his office will be hardware, new phones, new internet, new everything for everybody.
Good.
So bring everything into one location and try to minimize the expense of having to do so upfront, and then also the monthly recurring stays about equal. I think it's actually going up just a little bit where we typically try to save you on monthly, but this location unfortunately had to go up just a little bit. I don't remember the exact number, but.
Well, yes, you will have high speed out there somewhere. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, just so y'all know exactly what you're looking at. What I'm showing is $214.56 a month for 36 months for the Frontier. But redoing the network. I don't know if you looked in your package. I just want you to make sure y'all know what you're voting on. It's $14,949.40 to A1 Telecom to upgrade. And didn't I think Nick told me that some of that stuff can be moved to the new location when JP3.
Yes, when JP3 moves, everything that they're getting, aside from one small switch, was just a couple $100 switch. Everything else, all their phones, everything can be taken with them to the new location.
So that 14,000 will be recurring.
Correct, and it's even good, once they move to the new building when it's complete, so.
Yeah.
And if y'all decide to do it, out of the $14,949, they require 60% down to get started on the rest of completion. And I'm sure Mr. God is on here. If he is, we're gonna have to figure out where to pay for it.
I see, Ms. Maselli's on there. Angela, you got some money hidden somewhere to take care of this?
I think you could approve it and then we'll look for the funding. I don't know if we had a cap on how much we were expecting to pay, but I do know that we looked over the agenda item and expected it to cost, something that we're going to have to find the funding for. Actually, yeah, it's okay. Sorry, I was waiting on an answer. I think 15 will be okay.
All right. Any more questions? I got one. I got one. Well, can I say something? Please come on up here and visit with us.
I've been talking to Nick about all this, but.
Come up a little bit closer.
Okay. I don't have a phone, I don't have internet miles. So I can't get none of that stuff. So I was wondering if I was gonna be able to get something like that in my day. Cause I'm using a little jetpack right now.
Right.
Amanda, you should have access to the Wi-Fi is weak in your area.
Weak is not work.
Yes, this eliminates all that need for wireless, it'll be hardline, it'll be proper.
Okay.
It's not hodgepodge.
Yeah, cause we drive.
It's gonna be efficient, we drive.
Yeah, we rewired both locations.
And if somebody parks in front of the little ditch right there, we need to.
Yes.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
I'm glad, yeah.
I appreciate it.
If he's gonna be part of it, I think you ought to pay half.
All right, any more questions?
I'll make the motion, we approve.
Second.
Motion Leon, second part, Bruce to approve. All in favor, say aye.
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 Likewise, Davis. That motion carries now. Thank you, Jim. And thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And please take care of that.
Yes, sir. Will do.
It's not his birthday. Number 3, Mr. C, Person Park Center approved bid number 21-12 for asphalt overlay for Road Bridge 1.
Yeah. Right, fine.
This one, another one.
Yes, 2 projects, 2 different roads out there. He wants to asphalt overlay on. And we had 4 bidders: Vulcan, Cowboy Asphalt, Hazen Paving, and Angel Brothers. And for first project, CR 158, Vulcan at $47,665.64 was the lowest bidder. And on CR 4021, Vulcan was also low bid at $70,091.
Bruce, you have any comments?
We do have the money in our budget to do this. It's roads that truly need to be asphalted over. We don't have the capacity to do it, the capability. I recommend approval.
What's the length on these 2 projects? How many miles?
What?
How many miles of road?
The one road is approximately 3/4 of a mile. The other one's a half a mile, I believe.
Okay.
All righty. All right, need a motion in a second. A motion from Greg to approve.
Is this the approval, Greg, with the lowest bidder?
Yes.
Second.
I think that's what Harold recommended.
Yeah.
Got a motion for Greg, second for Leon to approve. All in favor, say aye.
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 Likewise, nays. That motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Jim. Number 4, this is one of my favorite items to look at because we get to look at it every time it gets close to June for the mobile part. The consider approved evaluation committee for debris removal and debris monitoring services. Now, we use HGAC a lot in this regard, correct, Harold? As far as yeah. So we need to form a committee to make evaluations on what this debris removal and debris monitoring service will cost as far as looking at the numbers. And I'd like Krista Beasley Adams, James Carson, Stephanie over in purchasing, Leon Wilson, myself, and Matthew Poston are representative of the county attorney's office to serve on this committee. And it will not be a very long and lengthy committee action or time period. It's going to be reviewing the numbers that we get in from HGAC. So it shouldn't take all that long, but I do need a committee intact to review these. So with those names being mentioned, what I need is a motion and a second to approve those names as far as the monitoring service committee and evaluation committee and debris removal.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, got a motion for Bruce. I had a double motion there, but I think, Leon, you want to second that one?
I'll second it.
Got a motion, Bruce, second for Leon. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, next. That motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Number 5, permits and inspections. Mr. Douglas. Good morning. Come on up a little closer so we can see you, David. Yes, sir. Consider approving revised final plat for the addition of 11 lots in the Artesian Lakes subdivision.
Yes, so this is a little bit of an unusual subdivision, and that Liberty County provides no maintenance in their drainage or roads. The lots are rather large, most of them a couple of acres. And so what they're trying to do is almost a simple plat. The commissioner and I have visited about it, and what we need to do is go ahead and let Dr. Smith file a final plat on this. It's just 11 lots.
Okay.
And we have no services we render up there. So I would recommend you today that you approve this so that Mr. Smith can file a final plat on an 11 lot addition.
Okay. What's the court's pleasure? Okay.
Second.
Motion Greg, second Bruce to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate that. Okay. Number 6, permits inspection. Mr. Dennison's consider approve the preliminary plat for Encino Estates, Section 4.
Yes, so this is the preliminary plat for Encino Estates, Section 4. It's moving to the west now, and this addition will create 140 new lots. So each one of these sections is about the same size. This is over in precinct 4 in Mr. Wilson's precinct. It's off of 1008. And so phase 1, phase 2 were about the same size. Phase 3 was a very small addition. Now we have phase 4, and that's going to be another 140. So you're probably looking at that subdivision right now. Once I get to phase 4, you're looking at about 400 lots in all. So it's a very nice subdivision. If you have not seen it, I would invite you to go through it. The Tour 18 folks have done a really good job with it. You know, we got off to a rocky start for those folks. But believe it or not, they have become one of my favorite subdivisions.
Okay.
They tend to business. So I'm going to ask you today to approve a preliminary plan for Encino Estates, Section 4, and we'll bring the final plat back to you at the next Commissioners Court meeting.
David, is, LJA, David, has LJA looked at the preliminary?
Yes, sir, they have.
And what type of recommendation?
Their recommendation was that it meets the minimum standards for Liberty County's requirements. So
Make a
that-
motion, we approve.
Second.
Motion from Leon to approve, second from Bruce. And by the way, the school superintendent does know about this.
I think so.
All right.
Yeah, school should love these guys.
Yeah, they do. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Don't sit down. One more. Got one more to go. Yes. Number 7, consider and approve resolution reauthorizing the transportation infrastructure grant with TxDOT.
Back about 6 months ago, and again, this is up in Commissioner Arthur's precinct. It's the airport road out there. And we made a commitment with the city of Cleveland and also with the Cleveland EDC to try and get a TIF grant.
Right.
Well, the numbers keep moving around. And it's kind of like trying to catch a frog, you know, by the time you get your hand on it, it changes. So we've had to readjust our numbers. And what happened was we lost 30,000 out of the state fund. So we went from 330 down to 300.
Okay.
So we need this approved. It's signed off on. I'll resubmit it to the Texas office in Beaumont. We'll see if we can finally get this thing rocking and rolling.
Okay. And they do need your help on this. Happy to see it happen. All right, what's the court's pleasure?
I have a question. I'm sorry, I have a question about this. When I read through it, it does say that there's a local match required. Is this the final document that you're gonna approve? It's asking for a match of $36,735.
That match was approved previously in an earlier court, and that has not changed.
And that's from the county. So the county's gonna pay that match?
No, ma'am, it's gonna be cut up 3 ways. It's 1/3 from the city of Cleveland, 1/3 from the Cleveland EDC, and 1/3 from Liberty County.
Okay, I wanted to clarify what was getting paid from the county. I believe we have the funding for that, but I just wanted to make sure that we were clear. It does, I don't think it mentions the third and third and third on here. So I just wanted to see what we were paying.
Yeah, actually.
David.
Yes, sir.
Our match would be just a little over 12,000.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. Make the motion, we approve.
All right, madam, we'll approve. Yeah. Leon Gregg made the motion to approve. You want to explain?
I'm sorry, I'll second.
Thank you.
The sound on this thing is not working properly this morning for some reason.
No, it's not.
Bouncing back and forth. Okay, we have a motion from Greg, second from Leon to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nay. Thank you, gentlemen. Number 8, Mr. C, this is consider approve award of Liberty County's invitation to bid number 2106 for renovation of approximately 3,780 square feet of space in the courthouse for use as County Court of Law number 2 to Mr. Meyer McDowell of McDowell Construction.
Okay, let me read it out so we will have it in the minutes. We had Stephanie in the purchasing department worked real closely with our architect, Mr. Burns. It was advertised, bids came in last week, we had 5 bidders. Frost Construction was $172,000. Pelco Construction was $138,000. Cooley Construction was $119,531. McInnes Construction was $99,730. And Meyer McDowell was $84,850. there were certain things that were required in the bid, Stephanie checked those out, they've all been accounted for. And Mr. Burns has also checked the things that he needs to check, and they both recommend Mr. McDowell.
Okay. Any questions?
Yes, Angela, do we have the funding for this?
Yes, we do have the funding.
Make a motion to approve.
Got a motion Bruce, second from Greg to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes, nays. The motion carries unanimous.
Hey, Harold,
Yes, sir.
Harold,
I'm here.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hardly understand what the low bid was what now?
84,850.
84?
84,850, I think.
Yeah.
84,850.
Thank you, brother.
All right. There being no executive
Make a
session,
mo-
need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a double second, but I'm gonna take Greg's first because he got first. Okay. Motion Bruce, second from Greg to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We go on.